Hello guys, a random video. I'm on my way home from work and I've just been thinking that my layout, I need to really get it functioning properly. And currently I have DigiKey's servo point motors. Now they're an absolute faff to set up, and to be honest I keep just putting it off because I can't be bothered. So I've decided to bite the bullet, and instead I phoned Anthony up from AGR and I'm going to get some Cobalts just to make life easier. So I'm on the way home now, and I'm on the stopper train that stops at Leighton Buzzard, and being the gent that he is, he's going to meet me on the platform with a box of 12 Cobalts at, what is it, 7:30 at night I think. So that's the kind of service that I get from this gentleman, and that's why I always go to AGR. So yeah, let's go and meet him on the train and then I get to shoot home in time for dinner. So hopefully we'll get some Cobalts fitted and finally get the layout working. Fingers crossed. Amazing. Look at this for service.
There you go, buddy. Special delivery.
That's service. Thank you, mate. I'll see you soon. Oh, great. What a legend. Let's have a look, shall we? Ooh, if I can get the box open. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, they're tiny. Oh my god. Happy days. AGR Model Railway Store, saving the day. Well, that went well. I've now got 12 point motors. I should probably add that although Anthony's service is normally exceptional, he did just happen to be at the shop late, and I phoned at the right place, right time. Hence, he managed to meet me at the station with like 15 minutes notice. So there we go. Thank you very much, Ant, if you're watching. So we're back at home now, and we've got the box of Cobalts. I've never actually had a look at these, so I'll be quite interested to get one out and see what they look like. So obviously we saw inside the box. I'll just pick a random one. Oops. Get that out. Shut that back up. Let's have a look at what we get then. So I was very amazed by the size of them. They're tiny, these little boxes. I went for the IP digitals, which mean I don't need an accessory decoder. So these should be plug and play basically. So there we go. There is one of the motors outside the point, and look at the size of it compared to my hand. I mean, my hands aren't huge. They're probably bigger than some, but I'm really impressed by that. Very neatly packaged as well, and obviously cutting down on waste, save the fish. But yeah, we've got a few little connections on here, and I believe I just need the first 3 at the minute, which are DCC in and the frog wire, because my frogs are electro frogs, which are modified. I heard about this little sticker here because apparently people had been putting their bus wires straight into these ones by mistake, getting it all around the wrong way and then blowing their point motors. So that's handy that they've put a little tag over that. I'm not 100% sure what the rest of these are for. I believe they're for operating these with some sort of physical button that you would put on a Mimic panel. But I'll have to read through the instructions to work that out. But yeah, quite pleased with that. I've got Tim Horn boards, which I'm sure you're all aware of by now, and putting that up against the bottom there, you can see they're not going to stick out at all. I expected them to, because I've seen other motors which are sort of much bigger and bulkier, so I'm quite impressed. So here's the point motor on the desk. I've got the foam pad mounted on one side. I've not peeled this side off yet. We've got all the bits out of the accessory bag ready. So we've got the mount for the fulcrum point. We've got the baseboard screws. We've got a little screw to retain the wire, and obviously the wire which goes up through your baseboard and through your point. So you want to take this mount, just slide it down into these runners. I'll probably leave it up near the top somewhere, just for now. Then get your wire. I'm going to go through the middle hole to keep it all central. And that should poke into the top hole there in the center. And then this small little screw here should, in theory, retain that. There we go, there's the screw in. Just whiz that up with a screwdriver. And there we go, that's now retained. And the beauty of these, why I really wanted to go with these and sack off the old servo stuff, is because the servo points, the fulcrum point is naturally where you attach them to the baseboard. Because of that, you don't have much leverage. Whereas on these, you can move this down, and the further down you have them, the more throw you will have on the point wire. So basically, if your point, you want to start with them at the top and then operate them. If your point doesn't quite throw over enough, then you slowly move this down bit by bit, keep testing it until your point throws over fully. But you can also go the other way if it goes too far, to stop you bending the wire too much, because you just want to keep a nice little bit of tension on it and not too much. You then would move it up to take the tension off, but you just obviously want to play about with it until your points throw over just enough and are held in place just lightly, so that you're not going to damage anything. But other than that, now I suppose I'll peel this off, poke this up through one of the points, and then stick it in place. Then I'm going to test it, and if I'm happy with the operation, then I'll screw it into the baseboards. One more little thing is, obviously you've got your baseboard screw supplied here. Handily, not many companies do this, but they've provided a spare. So good thinking. So looking under the baseboards, this is the setup I've got at the minute with the DigiKey servos. I've just unplugged that, so ignore that. But you can see the mounts I've got here. Like I was saying, the point where they actually are levered from is permanently at the top. So what I did try to do is I got some washers and I tried spacing it away from the baseboard, but it's just a faff, and obviously you need these big controllers as well, and I just really can't be bothered to get it working properly. I mean, when you get them working fine, then they're good as gold, because a friend of mine had them on his previous layout with no issues at all. But I'm just lazy, to be honest, so I'm going to chuck the Cobalts on. But they're obviously screwed on, so I'm going to have to make a bit of space between the bus wires here, sort that out. But that should go in there nicely. So I've got my point centered up the top with 2 bits of wire just to hold it in place. So you can see that the hole there is in the middle. So I'm just going to feed the wire through that hole. I'm going to go up this way, feed it through the bus wires, and it needs to be at a slight angle just to suit the point. And hopefully, if I put you in the centre, that would help. That is now stuck. Fingers crossed that work. Worst case, we pull it off, try again. And so what I'll do now is I'll just get 2 bits of bus wire in these 2 holes here. I'll go onto the DCC bus, which are my 2 solid copper wires here, and I'll operate the point, see if it works fine. If it does, then happy days, I'll screw it in. And also I'll take the frog wire, which is here, which currently goes to an auto frog, and that frog wire will then go in this 3rd hole. And then what you want to do is run a train towards the point. If the point shorts, when the train hits it, it means your frog is around the wrong way. So all you want to do is just flip the 2 bus wires, and that will sort you out. So let's test it. The point motor is now installed. What I need to do is change the address, and there's a little small switch just on this side, and I'm going to pull that down, and that's now the set position. I'll then get my controller. I will set it to 101, and then I'll just operate the point motor both ways just to double check. I don't know why it's not coming up. There you go. So you see I'm just pressing the button to throw it. Fingers crossed now, when we put the switch back into the run position, come back with the controller, and there we go. So that is now operating on number 101. There's a slight delay between you pressing the button and the motor actually operating, as you can see there. So now looking from the top, I'll just operate the point mower and you can see what's going on. And there you can see we've got a bit of a problem. So the point motor needs to come towards the front of the baseboard just a touch more. Now handily, obviously we've not screwed it in just yet. We've just used the sticky pad. So I'll just try and reposition it and hopefully that will do the job. And there we go, you can see I've repositioned it just a touch and now it's fairly central. But you can see that because we've got the fulcrum point right at the top, there's not actually enough throw on the point motor to throw the track fully across. So what I'll do now is move that down just a touch and that should sort that out. So here we are again. Now that we were happy with the point motor position, I screwed it into the baseboards and I've moved the fulcrum point down slightly. And if I operate the point, you can see that's pretty happy where it is and there's not too much tension on the point itself. Going back the other way again, I'll just try it that way. You can see there it's just nicely held against the outer rail. So that should do nicely. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is with servos, the way they operate is you've got an arm which basically goes round in an arc as it works. So what happens with the servo is when it gets to the center position, it's raised up and then side to side. So basically, if you had this wire sticking through now, as the point moved over, the wire would come up and then go down again. It's a bit of a hard thing to sort of imagine. But what that causes a problem with is where you cut the actual wire itself, or the rod, sorry, whatever you want to call it. Because if you cut it too short, it's going to pop out the bottom of your point. Now, because these points, the Cobalts, just go side to side to operate, rather than have something pivoting around, you don't get that. You don't get any up and down movement, so you can just cut the rod off where it is now. So that's the point motors all installed now on Harefield. We've got 7 in total. And I have gone round and checked each one individually, set it up with an address as you saw in the video previously, and I've adjusted them to make sure they've all got enough throw to properly work the points. Oh, and also I've gone across and checked all the frogs for the correct polarity, so they're all working as well. The only thing I haven't done is fitted a motor to the catch point, which is behind my substation down here. The reason for that is I bought a pack of 12 motors, I've used 7 on here, and I've got a couple future plans for the other side of the layout for an extension, which I'll go through at a later date. So if I work out that I'll have a spare motor left over, then I will of course fit one, because it gives that added bit of realism. But anyway, I'll stop blabbering on. So most people these days seem to go for one of 2 options for controlling their layout, which are usually either a Z21 system or a DR5000. Obviously, you've got your other systems like PowerCab, things like that, but these seem to be the 2 most popular ones at the minute. And I happen to use a DR5000 from DigiKeys. Now, both of those make use of the Z21 app, and you can use that to input your whole layout, and you can control the points through there with DCC addresses, and you can actually build routes. So that's what I was just going to quickly show you now. So I've got my iPad in my hand. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I'll give you a close-up in a second. But here I've built the whole of Harefield in the route setting sort of program. And then we've got Chiltern Hills over there with the potential future extension in the centre. And also I've got a copy of Chiltern Hills down the bottom here as well, because this is how it is when it's at home. You've just got to imagine that there's a 90-degree curve there instead of this board. But what you can do is you can put your track plan in there, and you can actually set the addresses so that when you click on the individual points, then you can have the points worked off the Z21 app. Now this is really handy. So what I'll do now is I'll show you about setting a route up, which is pretty cool. We'll go through and set an individual point first, and then I'll do a quick route and then just show you how it works, because a lot of you out there that use this setup might not know about this, and this is really cool. So basically crossing fingers that you'll be able to see this properly now with the camera set up shining onto the iPad rather than just doing a screen record. But basically, so this is the Z21 User Interface. If you want to build your layout on there, you go onto Control Station and you can crack on building away. So if you want to put bits of track down, for example, you can select what you want to do and then just randomly put stuff in. And on a point, actually, if we just put a random point in as if we've got a bit of track. So let's say we've got a left-hand turnout, put that down there, rotate it around, a couple bits of track either side. Need a little curve piece to go in between there. And then what you need to do, if you've got an end-to-end layout like me, then you need to put a rail stop piece on each end. Whoops. Like that. Otherwise, when you set a route, it won't all light up. So you can see there, we've basically got one track there going into two. We've got a point in the middle, a left-hand point, and we've basically terminated the ends. I've just managed to delete that one somehow. There we go. So what you then want to do is on this point here, this is the first one I installed. This is set to number 101 as the address. So what we can actually do is we can go onto this point here. So you click it there, go onto settings, and then you just type the address in at the top. So we'll just do the same address. So 101, and that's in there. Get rid of the keyboard, click off that. That should then be 101. So to test that, in theory, if we push this point here, like that, then you could hear that the point's going in the background, and you can see that both of those change because they've both got the same address on here. The only thing is, this one that we've just put in is the wrong way round to how the actual point is physically set in person. So this one is correct. So what you want to do if you've got that issue is you click on the point, back onto settings, and then you swap these over, go back out again, and you'll see that has now changed. So if I again click this point, you'll see that it changes here as well, and it's now the right way round. So that's happy days. So that's how you would then set that point up to use it individually with the Z21 app. But what you can also do is you can set what's called a route up. So if you go on here, go down, this is the route option. Click on that to activate it. You just put it anywhere, say below your layout. And then if you click onto that, then your first route, choose route, back to the map. And then you click on the point and select which way you want it to be for this route. So we'll go straight for that one. And then that's done. And then you basically do another one underneath. Choose route again. And then we'll have this one go the other way. Click off that. And then you can also put a little note. There's a little note box thing that you can put in. It is there. Then you can write in next to it what you want it to be and just put it in the box next to the route button. So then what happens now is you push whichever route you want and it will set it all up automatically for you. Just like this. So you can take it one step further than that by introducing multiple points. So if we get, say, another point off here, where do we want to go? In fact, we'll do a right-hand point because it'll look a bit better. Go off there. So we can then create another route. And if we go onto that one, then what you want to do is we'll select, choose route, sorry. We'll select that first point, again, straight. And then you can choose the second point. If you want that to go up there. You can also choose the waiting time. So if you want one point to throw and then shortly after you want the other one to go, then that's how you do that. And you can also switch them round so that if the waiting times are different, you can change the order in which they operate. So if we press done on that and come back, if we now click this route in the bottom, you see there obviously we've not got a point assigned to this address at the minute, hence you're not hearing anything in the background because this point is already set in the correct direction. And if we click this middle one, you can see again the route's going down the bottom, and then the one that we've just selected, you'd see that if you've got all the points set up, it will actually do all the points with just the push of one button. So what that does is that stops you having to go onto your route map and say you want to bring a train into platform 3, for example. We'd have to leave this one where it is. We'd have to change this one, that one would be okay, and then you can run into platform 3. But then if you obviously wanted to run into platform 1, you've got to go back and change these, and then you'll probably want to change this one just so you've got no conflicting moves, things like that. Depends how far you want to go with it really. But instead of all that, obviously you can see what I've done here is I've set it up so the main lines from the left into Harefield, we've got the main line into platform 1, into platform 2, 3, and from the up line to shunt back, which is this signal we've got in the center here. So that's for if you come into platform 2, you've got the option of having a unit go past this signal and then it can shunt back into the bay where it can then go off onto the branch line. And you can see the same again coming back out the other way and onto the branch, things like that. So if I click this, I'll do the main onto platform 1, you can see it lights up there because we've already got the points set. So then if we go on to number 3, you can hear it in the background, all clicking over. And what you can also do, so when you're setting your route, obviously you want to go through and select all the points that you want to change. And then after which you can also go through and select all the signals. So if you've got your signals on DCC addresses, then you can operate those as well. You can have any sort of lighting operated off this. And there's all sorts you can do. It really depends how far you want to go. But the beauty of this is if you haven't got a mimic panel sorted, you can use this to control the layout. So hopefully that helps some people out and you can create some awesome little setups on here. So enjoy. So there we go then, there's point motors now installed on Harefield. I suppose I've got no excuse not to get a running session out soon. God help me. So thank you if you've managed to stick through all that. I know it was a long video, but fingers crossed it can help some of you. And the Z21 option is quite cool to play with as well. So let me know how you get on with that. If this is something you're planning on doing, chuck something in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and go and look at AGR Model Railway Store and DCC Concepts, who obviously make and supply the point motors. They've all been very good to me, so I'd appreciate that. But thank you for listening to me waffle on. I'm going to go play some trains now, and I'll speak to you soon. See you later.